Welcome to Compass and Clock. I'm your host, Mary Copeland. This infotainment podcast explores how to live your best life now and well into retirement. We'll discuss topics in financial planning, housing, and insurance. We'll talk wellness, relationships, and leisure activities. A full, active life requires planning for your goals and preparing for the unexpected. I'll introduce you to a variety of guests, from knowledgeable experts to folks sharing stories of their life experiences, and so much more, because life is big. All is intended to help guide you in planning for what you need now and at any age. Like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Today, my guest is Todd Faulkner. Todd is currently the interim CEO for Peninsula Services in Bremerton, Washington. As an innovative leader, Todd oversees extensive programs serving people with disabilities throughout Kitsap County. Todd, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mary. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, I'm excited to share with folks what Peninsula Services provides. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What is Peninsula Services, what it provides, and why it's so important for our community. So I'm just going to jump right into our first question, which is, what is Peninsula Services?
So Peninsula Services is a nonprofit organization. We're classified as a 501c3 nonprofit. But our mission and goal is to provide training and employment opportunities for people with disabilities. So that's a whole spectrum of services that we're able to provide throughout our county.
Okay. So can you give me a little history about why Peninsula Services was originally formed? And since I know that it's 51 years old, what services were available back at that time?
Sure. So we were established in 1971 by a group of parents and community members who felt like there needed to be more for people with disabilities. At that point in time, the choices were pretty limited for folks who had a disability. They were either encouraged to be institutionalized or kind of exist at the fringes of society. So parents kind of came together and said, there's more. My kids, my family relative can work and add value. So they came together. They started to do workshop type work where people were maybe putting together hardware packs or assembling things for another company, something like that. And the whole concept of employment for people with disabilities has really grown since that time. So we're excited to be a part of that. We've seen a lot of changes over the years in services, and really excited for what's happening today.
So one of the things that you've talked about are vocational services. What do they look like?
So vocational services really is a full spectrum of services for people with disabilities, from job exploration to training for a specific job. We do a lot with transition services for kids coming out of the school system, graduating high school, and transferring into the workforce, or even continuing education sometimes that we can help support. We do work experience, we do trial work experiences for folks to try a job to learn if it's something that they would like. We then do, we assist with placement services, job retention services. We do just a whole spectrum of supports for people to be successful in the employment field.
So if a family had an adult child with disabilities, how would they connect with Peninsula Services to take advantage, of all that you have to offer?
Yeah, so there's several different ways people can connect with us for services. Typically, most of the clients that we serve have received some sort of special education service through the school system at some point in time, or they're receiving Division of Voc Rehab services. They can help assist connecting to us. The Developmental Disability Administration also is an entry point where folks are referred for our services. Or you can just reach out to us directly. Those are a lot of acronyms and things that are confusing to folks. We can actually help you connect with the services that you may need throughout our county. So the best way to do that is through our website, peninsulaservices.org. And you can reach out to us there and get a phone number or send an email. And we're happy to assist through the process.
Is there a phone number? What would be the best number you would want them to call?
I knew you were going to put me on the spot. They can certainly call me directly at 360-340-2105.
Okay, and if somebody, thank you. If somebody were going to connect with your organization, is there a fee for the program? And if so, who pays the fee?
So there is no fee to the client at all. Typically, our funding comes through either a contract with the Division of Voc Rehab or the Developmental Disabilities Administration, sometimes through Veterans Affairs or Lighthouse for the Blind. We contract with those entities to pay for your services. So there's no cost to the individual at all. So
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but can you give me an example? Let's say that John graduated high school and he's 21 years old now. He didn't go to college after he got out of high school. He's been home. He reaches out to Peninsula Services. What is the next step?
So typically what he would do is he would be paired with an employment specialist who would help him discover maybe what field he has interest in. Each client we work with, our program is really customized to what are their vocational goals, what is their history, interests, abilities, talents. We look at a whole myriad of things that would influence how and where and why somebody wants to work. So it's a very customized program. So they get paired with a specialist and they kind of help work through that process with the individual. If they need training, they're able to connect with training opportunities in our community to learn a new job.
Okay, so we'll still use John as an example. So John was paired with a specialist. They figured out what John's likes were and what would interest him. And he received training through your organization, your agency. And then he was found a job. He was placed with one of the local businesses in Kitsap County. So at that point, let's say John's been working with Safeway for a year. After that, are there retention services and additional training that John would receive?
Oh, most definitely. We look at connecting with our clients long term. We're able to follow along with most of the clients we serve. Also, we don't just partner with the client that we serve, but we also partner with the business owner. So we look at these as long-term relationships. So we do a lot of follow-up, a lot of job retention. Say, for instance, he needs to learn a new job. Maybe they got a new piece of equipment, something like that. We would come back in and help him learn that job. Maybe he wants to change jobs, and we can certainly step in and help him identify that next step in his career path and provide the supports he needs to be successful. So it's a kind of a lifelong commitment from our standpoint to help guide folks to what their goal is.
So with your training and your retention services, then how many adults with disabilities do you serve? And, like on average, how long are they with you?
So typically in our job placement services and our vocational services side of the business, we are typically have a head count somewhere between 40 and 50 individuals that we're serving at any given time. And that's in industries all throughout our community. It might be at an automotive shop, it might be at a Safeway, like you mentioned, it could be at a doctor's office, just any kind of job you can think of. We pretty much support people, whether it be the shipyard or sometimes like a Lowe's or a Home Depot, or you name it. We're in there and have worked with somebody in that field. So again, it's very customized, all dependent on what does this individual want to do and where do their talents lie.
And then they're with you for, as you say, a lifetime. So that could be decades, correct?
Oh, most definitely. We have folks that we've worked with for a long period of time. Typically, it's a minimum 90 days. If they feel like, hey, we've got the job, we're stable on the job, it's typically 90 days after they're hired. But they can certainly always reach out to us, and many do, for assistance on that next step. Where do I want to go from here?
So we were talking about the vocational services that Peninsula Services offer. But do you do more than vocational and training services for adults with disability? What else does Peninsula Service provide for the community?
Yeah, we certainly do. We also do a significant amount of government contracting. We employ over 120 individuals throughout our agency, in addition to the 40 or 50 that we serve through vocational services. Those employment opportunities within our own organization range from working on the Navy base, potentially stocking in the commissary. So we do that. We provide janitorial services throughout the county. We also do grounds maintenance and yard care and those types of functions. We own and operate 2 ServMart stores, which are supply stores for the U.S. Navy, and also open to the public, where we sell everything from combat boots to pens and paper, kind of whatever a ship may need when they're underway. We're able to supply to the ships in the local area. And then we also own and operate a business that we're excited about, AllShred, which is a secured document destruction company. So you probably may have seen our trucks throughout the community frequently. So yeah, we do a lot of things, all with the purpose of creating meaningful employment for people with disabilities. The jobs that we're involved in often have been deemed as mission critical to the U.S. Navy and other branches of the service, and we're proud of the work that we do. So
where are the 2 ServMart stores located that the public can shop at?
So we have one in Bremerton, right off Arsenal Way. Here in Bremerton, people can walk in there, and again, you can get the exact address from our website. The Island, which does a lot of the air wing and carrier supply and things. So certainly, if you have need, it's a great place to shop and support services for people with disabilities.
Well, speaking of supporting services, how can the community, how can our listeners, how can the community support Peninsula Services?
there's several things that you can do. First of all is support the businesses that employ people with disabilities. You know, we all make socially conscious purchasing decisions or try to typically every day. So seeking out places that purpose to employ people with disabilities and support that mission is a big thing. If you're a business owner, consider becoming a business partner with us and talking with us about hiring somebody with a disability to work in your business. Certainly as a 501c3, we love those who would contribute to the mission or to volunteer your time, maybe as a board member. We're always looking for areas of expertise to help guide the organization. It's a fun mission and really exciting to be a part of. So,
can you tell us, outside of the names of, what's under your corporate umbrella, what are some of the local businesses in the area that employ folks with disabilities? So when you're saying to support the local businesses, can you just name a few so we can
certainly,
be aware of them?
Yeah, Safeway is a great business that really has purpose to hire people with disabilities. Lowe's is another big box type store that people would recognize. We have several smaller businesses like Purpose Boutique has really gone out of their way to hire people with and done really creative things to hire people with disabilities. There's just lots of different businesses throughout our community that have caught the vision and seen the value in hiring people with disabilities.
Do you reach out to the school districts, earlier on, like middle school or high school, so that the guidance counselors and the faculty there know that your organization exists, so that there's a next step for those students?
We do. We typically we work really closely with the special education departments at the schools. We typically start making connections with students and families, typically in their last year in the educational system, so that there's not a gap between education and employment, that it's just a natural transition for folks to move into employment services. A lot of families that maybe don't consider that transition can feel a real need when the bus stops coming to pick up their kid, and now all of a sudden they've got them there all the time and having to be the sole care provider. Employment opens opportunities for folks to be involved in their community. It gives choice around how they spend their money, how they spend their time. It provides respite for family and caregivers that may be overwhelmed. Having a break in the day where your son or daughter is off at work can really be valuable to families.
I have one more question, and that is, as these individuals become part of the workforce out there, and as you said, the families might have some respite because they're now, going to work 3 days a week. What if the individual doesn't drive and they don't have a mode of transportation? Is something arranged? Are you able to help with transportation for a person to get to work?
Certainly, that's a big barrier to employment for a lot of people with disabilities. So that's one of the primary things that we consider in developing a job for someone out in the community, as we look at what transportation they have available. We also do community transit training with folks, so they learn how to ride the bus, what bus stop to get on and off at, what to do if something goes wrong. We also partner with some local taxi companies and other drivers that Uber drivers and such who can have a regularly scheduled pickup and drop off for someone. So we're able to do some creative things. Maybe it's pairing somebody with a buddy at work for transportation. So certainly that's a component of a successful job placement. So.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I know I had received a flyer in an email about the virtual Kitsap County Developmental Disabilities Fair from April 1st to June 30th. So do you want to tell the folks a little bit about that?
Certainly. So people can go on the Kitsap County website and connect to that virtual resource fair and learn about not just our organization, but many others that provide a wide array of services for people with disabilities and their families. They can look at what other resources might be there, connect to activities, connect to support groups. And that's all through the Kitsap County website that people can connect there as well. So it's running, I think, for a month, where the links will be live and you can click on a link and go right to the information that you're looking for. So
I have a link, so I will say what it is before we wrap up. It would be gowise.org/Kitsap Resource Fair. So GOWISE.org/Kitsap Resource Fair. Well, Todd, I'd like to say thank you so much for educating all of us today and about your amazing 501c3 agency, because you totally make a positive difference in the lives of adults with disabilities and their families. And for our listeners, thanks for joining Todd and I today. And until next week, take care and thanks for listening. Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Mary. Bye.